Welcome back to the Sports Sermon. I'm Dylan Staggy,
I'm Jason Got
and today we will be going over the NFL season preview Buffalo Bills edition.
Bills Mafia.
So let's get right into it. Depth chart overview. What do you see from the Bills depth chart, Jason?
So, I think the three big positions you're going to look at are the ones I highlighted with the Patriots for me: quarterback, running back, and receiver. Quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, kind of the biggest question mark on that roster. Some people think he's their quarterback of the future. Some people don't. Well, he has the 8th best total QBR in the league since he started in 2015. That's higher than Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, Carson Palmer, Phillip Rivers, Andrew Luck, and others. Not that I'm saying he is the guy, just for the Tyrod lovers, there's a fact. But, I mean, from the eye test, the Tyrod haters have a lot of evidence too. There's games where he just doesn't look like he should be starting the NFL. So there's a big question mark around the starter in Tyrod Taylor. But then Cardale Jones and Nathan Peterman competing for that backup spot. Peterman's someone that I know a lot of people this draft thought could be a sleeper. He played well at the Senior Bowl. Cardale, he really impressed me on watching him in training camp and different throws he could make. But his arm talent's never really been a question. It's his IQ and really just understanding the playbook. So if they accept or realize maybe that Tyrod's not their quarterback, I think they got two pretty good young options in Cardale and Peterman. Going over to the running back spot, Shady McCoy, who's pretty old, but he's still a top 10 running back in the league, still playing well. So Shady's good, but then after that, you've got Jonathan Williams and then other guys. So that's really where the running back is very slim. They had Carlos Williams. He got PEDs, got suspended for PEDs, and then they cut him. And then they had Reggie Bush last year, and he's old, and they cut him. They had Mike Gillislee last year. He went to the Patriots. So really, the one out of these three, the one that the Bills most need help on is running back. Because if Shady goes down, which he has a tendency to get hurt, they are in need for a running back. Over the receivers, you've got Sammy Watkins as the number one, but two of last year's top three receivers are gone. Marquise Goodwin going to the 49ers and Robert Woods going to the Rams. So that means guys like Zay Jones, Philly Brown, and Andre Holmes are going to have to step up this year. Zay Jones, a rookie who really impressed in the Senior Bowl, had 3 touchdowns in the Senior Bowl, something you don't see very often. Philly Brown out of Carolina, definitely a speed guy that'll extend the field. And Andre Holmes, kind of always that fourth option for Derek Carr that he liked to use a lot. So all in all, the Bills' offense is okay. There's no guy like Sammy Watkins. He can't stay on the field, so we really don't know what you got in there. Tyrod has his moments. Shady has his moments. So it's kind of a boomer bust for the offense. I think it'll be somewhere in between. I think Tyrod's gonna have a good year. I think he'll boom, but I think Watkins will bust or something like that. All in all, the Bills, they don't have enough to do anything special, I think, this year, but they've got good pieces. It's just a matter of getting backups to really solidify it.
Yeah, like you talked about, Tyrod Taylor, is he the guy for the future? Great quarterback, like you said, at times. He shows promises that he could be a great NFL quarterback. Obviously, a guy that likes to go out of the pocket a lot, similar to Michael Vick in his good days. Tyrod, a little bit more of a pocket guy than him. And his weapons that he has, they're not really too solid. I mean, he has 3 pretty solid ones in LaShawn McCoy, Sammy Watkins, and Charles Clay. But outside of that, there's really not too many backup running backs, especially since they lost Gillislee to the Patriots. If Shady goes down like he has in the past, they could really be hurting that running back. And wide receiver, same thing, Sammy Watkins with a big injury history and some question marks behind him like you talked about. And Charles Clay, not much tight end depth for the Bills either. Nick O'Leary, not really an NFL starting caliber tight end. But if you look over on the defensive side, still a very solid defensive line the Bills have with Shaq Lawson, Marcel Darius, Kyle Williams, and Jerry Hughes. But the secondary got a lot worse in the offseason with the loss of Stephon Gilmore, Ronald Darby, the new guy, Tre'Davious White, who they drafted, Micah Hyde, and Jordan Poyer at the safety positions. Not really going to contribute too much, not any above average world beater safeties back there for the Bills. So I think there's just too many holes in this roster to compete this season. Not a lot of depth, and the injury history for Watkins and McCoy really worries me on the offensive side.
Exactly. I think you hit that one on the nail. Hit that one on the head. If they could play their starters all 16 games, I think they'd have a shot at the playoffs. The chances Watkins, McCoy, Tyrod, and their defense all stay healthy are very slim, knowing the history. And when you look at the backups, they don't have much there. So that's, like you said, that's really what worries me. I like Zay Jones, though. He's a good little player. I think he'll be their number one receiver most of the year. I think Sam will get hurt again. But yeah, that's kind of summing up the depth chart over going into the season. What do you see their schedule looking like, and how do you think it plays out?
All right, so in week 1, they have a home game versus the Jets, and I think they win that starting off on the right foot for the Bills, but I think their next 3 games at Carolina, at home versus Denver, and then traveling to Atlanta, I think they lose all 3 of those, and then go to Cincinnati in week 5, right before the bye. I think they get the win there to finish out 2-3 in their first 5 weeks before the bye. Then after the bye, next 2 games, Tampa Bay and Oakland, both very solid teams going into this year. I think they lose both of those. And then week 9, they travel to the Jets. I think they win that one and sweep the Jets this year. Back home versus the Saints, lose that. Going to the Chargers are probably a better team than the Bills this year, but the home crowd's going to be kind of questionable, obviously, with Los Angeles not really supporting the Chargers a ton this year. I think they win that one. And then the next 3 games, at Kansas City, at home versus New England, and traveling to Indy. I have losses in all 3 of those. Then Miami, as they come to Buffalo in Week 15. Miami, team that plays in hot weather most of the time, going to have trouble going into cold Buffalo, especially deep in the season in Week 15. I think the Bills win that one. And then last 2 weeks at New England, at Miami, losses, and they finish with a 5-11 record.
All right, I've got also the 5-11 record. I have the Bills going 2-3 at the bye week, but I have them beating the Jets and the Broncos, but losing to the Bengals. I think the Broncos are really going to struggle this year. When we get to their preview, we'll talk about that. But I think the Broncos are going to have a very off year. And then you come back from the bye. I think they lose to the Bucs and the Raiders. But then I think they go on a little winning streak of 2, and they beat the Jets at the Jets and the Saints. I think the Saints are really old, don't have a defense, and Tyrod will be able to exploit that. Then they go on a 3-game losing streak at the Chargers, at the Chiefs, home for the Patriots. And I think all 3 of those teams just have more depth, and by that time in the season, you're at double-digit weeks, week 9, 10, 11-ish. Most guys are banged up, not playing at full strength, and I think that's what's going to get the Bills. But I think they bounce back from the Patriots' loss and upset the Colts. I think the Colts also have a little bit of a down year, even though they can't get much worse. I don't think they'll get worse than last year. I think they'll go right around 7-9, 8-8. But then to finish out the season, they lose to the Dolphins twice in 3 weeks and at the Patriots, making them 5-11. So really, we kind of agree there. It's just different games that we think they're going to lose.
All right, so earlier you said if the Bills could play their starters for all 16 weeks, they would have a shot at the playoffs. So you think you want to back up that statement?
I think I mean, that's like in a perfect world. If every team has their starters all 16 games, I think the Bills have a chance. That won't happen, and so I don't think the Bills have any chance. That's why I'm at 5-11. I don't think Watkins gets on the field for more than 6 games. I think Shady's on for 10. I just don't see him staying healthy. The defense will wear down. So, no, I don't think they have a shot at the playoffs, if that's your question.
So, in a perfect world,
they're contending, but they don't make it.
Okay. I would agree. I think that there's just no way that Shady and Watkins could be on the field for all 16 games, and really outside of that, you don't have anything else. Even if they do, there's just too many holes, especially in the secondary. Losing Stephon Gilmore, their defense is not going to be as good as it was last year. But some headlines going into the future for the Bills. Jason,
I've got 2 for you. The battle for second place and the AFC East, I think. Obviously, the Patriots have got it locked up at number 1.
And then I mentioned it at the beginning, and it kind of is coming full circle. Is Tyrod the quarterback of the future? That's the big question for the Bills that's going to kind of stem from this season.
I have a similar one. Is Tyrod Taylor the future? The Bills have got to decide on that. Can Tyrod be the man to lead the Bills back to the playoffs?
They have the longest playoff drought in the NFL, in the current playoff drought in the NFL right now of like 18, 19 years, something like that. So, yeah.
So they got to answer that question. Is Tyrod going to be the guy to finally lead them back to the playoffs? Can they build around him for the next few years? Or do you move on, try to find another quarterback in the draft, or develop and bring up Cardale Jones or Nathan Peterman? But we talked a lot about Tyrod Taylor this episode and the Bills. Obviously, the quarterback position, a big question. But let's talk about the best of the quarterback position. Top 5 NFL quarterbacks right now in the NFL. Jason, who do you have at number 5?
Okay, so Michael Bailey, one of the sports sermon guys wanted me to put his top 5 in here with mine. So at his number 5, he's got Ben Roethlisberger. And at my number 5, it gets tricky for me because I think the top 4, in my opinion, are pretty consensus. Number 5, I was between Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, Derek Carr, and Andrew Luck. And when looking at him, I felt like I had to go Russell Wilson. He's been the most successful. Obviously, he's had the best team. But I just think he has the longevity to prove it. Matt Ryan's had 1 or 2 years. Newton's had 1 or 2 years. Carr and Luck are young, but have only had 1 or 2 good years. So I went with Russell Wilson just for sustaining that longevity. Even though he's the same age as Luck, Wilson never really having a down year like Luck did. So that's why I went with Russell Wilson at 5.
I'm going to go with Cam Newton at 5. You kind of mentioned his inconsistency. But I think that Cam Newton just has too much talent. I think he'll land this year somewhere in between his great 2015 year and his below average 2016. The Panthers have a few more weapons for him on the offensive side, and I think he'll return to being a top 5 NFL quarterback. Jason, who do you have at 4?
Michael Bailey has got Drew Brees at number 4, and I have also got Drew Brees at number 4. This is where my consensus kind of starts. I think there's top 4 quarterbacks that dominate, and Brees is the bottom one of that, but really dominant throughout his entire career once he got to New Orleans.
At my number 4, I'm going to go with Matt Ryan. Obviously had the great season last year, but I think he has a lot of talent, a lot of weapons around him, and he'll continue to be he'll have another great year this year and be a top 5 NFL quarterback as he was last year.
At number 3, Michael's got Matt Ryan, and I've got Ben Roethlisberger. So I think Big Ben has got the best offense in the league. Yes, don't at me. I get the Patriots. I think Big Ben, Le'Veon, and AB have the best offense in the league. So I put Roethlisberger at 3, being the hardest guy to tackle at quarterback, being pretty consistent when he's on the field of being successful. Roethlisberger comes in at number 3 for me.
I have to agree. Ben Roethlisberger at number 3. You mentioned consistency about quarterbacks earlier. Roethlisberger's had a lot of that throughout his career. He's been a fantastic guy and continues to contribute with his great skills of getting out of the pocket and the great weapons around him he has.
All right. I think all 3 of us are going to agree on number 2 and 1. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Rodgers at 2 and Brady at 1.
Yeah, I've got the same.
Yeah, there's no real debate there. Rodgers would be the best. He's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. It's just there's that guy named Tom Brady up in New England that's kind of good.
Yeah, Tom Brady, obviously, a great year last year. Patriots rolled to the Super Bowl despite him being out 4 games. He just tore apart the postseason, and especially the Falcons' defense in that late third quarter, the rest of the fourth quarter, and overtime. Nothing the Falcons' great defense could do to stop him.
Yeah, he's the greatest to play at the quarterback spot, and that's why he comes in at number 1. So, tonight, I guess, Game 3, Cavs, Warriors. So, tomorrow, we'll be recapping it. Do the Warriors blow them out again tonight? Do the Cavs shock the world and take a game? We'll see, and then we will discuss it all here tomorrow. I'm pretty sure Dan will be back. Michael, we're not really sure about. But yeah, I can promise you that Dylan and I will be there tomorrow. Cavs Warriors, Game 3 tonight. We'll be doing it. Game 2, sorry. We will be recapping it. and you make sure you tune into that. So I'm Jason Gandhi,
And I'm Dylan Staggy.
and Bills are going to go 5-11. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep, leave a like and subscribe.